relief because Luka Doncic, a.k.a. Baby Bird, has agreed to a 5-year, $207 million extension. Days after leading Slovenia to an inspired run in the Tokyo Olympics, Doncic is now receiving the largest Supermax rookie extension in NBA history. So, Shannon, I know you love him. Will he be worth it?
He's already worth it, Skip. I mean, he's already fulfilled the criteria to get the Supermax. He doesn't need to do anything else. He's a two-time first-team All-NBA player. He's been to back-to-back All-Star games. He's the de facto leader. And, Skip, I think before it's all said, in the next probably 2 to 3 years, he'll win an MVP. And eventually he's going to be the face of the league, Skip. There isn't anything this young man can't do. He can go get you 30. He can get you 10 rebounds. He can get you 10 assists in his career. Skip, you do realize he just came off of averaging 36, 10, and 8 against two of the greatest wing defenders that we've ever seen. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and if you throw in Pat Bev, he just put 36, 10, and 8 on him for his NBA career. And I know it's short, 13 games, 33, 9, 9.5. That's what he's done. Nobody else can say that he put up these numbers, Skip. In the last 50 years, only Luka Doncic and KD have been named first-team, two-time first-team All-NBA selections before turning 23.
Yeah.
That's what he did, Skip. When they have these polls, and you say you like polls, every GM that says, okay, you got to start a team with somebody 25 and under. He's never not been the #1 pick. He's always #1 over Book, over Jason Tatum, over Jaylen Brown, over Zion Williamson, over everybody. He's #1. So for me, $207 million, that's all he got because that's all they could give him. Because they gave him the Supermax. But if they could have gave him $300, that's what he would have got. Skip, he's special. He's lived up. I believe they're one piece away. Now, I like the re-signing of Tim Hardaway Jr., Skip. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent in the big moments. They thought they had a big to pair with him when they traded for when they got Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis was there, if I'm not mistaken, before he got there. But they felt they had a piece. But for whatever reason, Porzingis stays hurt, and now he's moping because, you know, Luka's getting a little bit more shine than he is. And for whatever reason, it's not working well, Skip. But only Luke and Oscar can say, you know what, in our first 3 years, we averaged 25, 7, and 7. That's what he's done in his first 3 years. So for me, Skip, this was a no-brainer. And you see how I know it was a no-brainer? Because Mark Cuban fueled up the jet. He took Jason Kidd. I think he took Nowitzki, took the new GM, and they went to this man in Slovenia. To make sure they get this John Hancock on this contract. So it was a no-brainer. And the only reason he got 207 because that was all he could get. But his next contract, probably going to be $300 million.
So let me start with your nickname that you gave him, Baby Bird.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Yeah. I don't know if you actually remember Larry Bird. You claim that he was your favorite player, but I don't buy it because if he were your favorite player, you would honor him by not even bringing this kid into the same conversation.
Yeah,
because Baby Bird is maybe Bird. He's maybe Bird at best because he can't shoot a lick, and I will prove it with stats.
Okay.
He can't shoot from 3, and he can't shoot from the free throw line. He is now in 3 years a career 33% three-point shooter. Is that Larry Bird-esque? I know they didn't shoot threes really in Larry's time, but was Larry Bird a good shooter? Help me out. Could he shoot it?
He was great.
Yeah, he was great.
He was a three-point contest with him 3 times. 33%
three-point shooter over 3 years. That's second worst in the entire NBA over the last 3 years. Help me out. Is that good or not?
Nope, that's not good.
He is a career 74% free throw shooter. It's horrendously bad. If we just look at last year when he was the preseason MVP favorite, he wound up with 73% at the free throw line. That ranked 87th of 110 qualified free throw shooters. That is horrible for a player of this caliber. And in the playoffs, it got worse and worse, as you know, because I watched this man shoot air balls from the free throw line. I ask you, Larry Bird fanatic that you claim that you were, do you think Larry Bird ever shot a single air ball from the free throw line? Because I am willing to bet my life savings he never airballed a free throw in an NBA game. You just don't do it because it's going to either hit nothing but net by going through the cylinder or it's going to catch iron here, back iron or front iron. You just don't airball free throws if you're a free throw shooter of any ilk, of any status. And he airballed free throws in playoff games, and he frequently airballs three-point shots. It's like almost won a game. Every time I'm watching Luka, there's another airball from three because he's not much of a three-point shooter. In fact, he's a lousy three-point shooter. So what did we see happen against the Clippers? Obviously, he lost to the Clippers in his first playoff go-round 2 years ago in the bubble, and everybody said, oh, Porzingis was hurt. Then in this playoff series, he rendered Porzingis a bystander in the corner because he just said, you're out of the offense. I got it. I am the offense. And all of a sudden, a Porzingis who had averaged 16 shots a game in the regular season got 10 shots off in the 7 playoff games.
That's 10 too many. Sorry, sir.
Really? Okay, so Porzingis was the reason because he couldn't play, and then he's the reason he lost because he could play.
Well, first of all, Skip, if he was that good, the Knicks would have never traded him.
Okay,
Knicks in the position to trade anybody.
So here's what happened against my Clippers. Luka Doncic had a 2-0 lead with 2 home games in Dallas before a sold-out, packed COVID pandemic crowd where they were no mask, elbow to elbow with Dak in the front row and Michael Irvin up in the luxury suite. They're up 2-0, and on a Friday night game 3, they go up 30-11 in the first quarter. That's a 19-point lead. What if I gave Larry Bird, as a Boston Celtic, a 2-0 lead with a 19-point lead in Game 3 at home with a Game 4 at home? What do you think Larry Bird would do with that kind of a lead? He would bury you.
Skip, you know what? It's funny that you said that.
Yeah, bury you.
Skip, it's funny that you said that because I know a team that had a 3-1 lead and had a 19, a 16, and a 13-point lead.
Okay, well, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a guy that you say is Larry Bird. And what did he do?
Baby Bird.
What did he do? Yeah, well, that's saying he's going to be Larry Bird, but he's the next, right? Yes. He's got next. Okay, so Luka Doncic as the primary ball handler, as the superstar, as the preseason MVP favorite, he loses Game 3 by 10 at home and proceeds to lose Game 4 2 days later by 25 points at home. And how can you do that?
And what did he do on the road? What did he do when he
then he goes and they win. It wasn't all him. Well, Hardaway went out of his mind.
You see what you did?
Well, who's the better three-point shooter, Hardaway or Luka?
The better, but who's the better player? Okay. You see what you did now when he loses?
Okay, so let's keep that going, that narrative going. So they do go win Game 5 at Clippers. So they come home with a 3-2 lead. They have Game 6 at home. And what happens? They lose it by 7 points. You're kidding me. And they lose Game 7 back at the Clippers by 15 points. And why was that happening for the biggest reason? What's the biggest reason that was happening? If we look at the fourth quarters of all 7 games, here are Luka's stats. He shot 35% from the floor. That's 15 of 43. Is that good? No, that's not exactly Larry Bird-like. From 3 in the fourth quarters of 7 games, he was 5 of 18. That's 28%. And from the free throw line, he was 5 of 10, which is obviously 50%, but he shot only 10 free throws in 7 fourth quarters, which shows you he's got a little LeBron in him. He runs from the free throw line in the fourth quarter because he's afraid to go up there and shoot an air ball. And you're telling me he's Larry Bird?
Yeah.
Okay, I bless the contract. I got it. You know, he's box office. He's all Dallas has. They're going to sell him. He will become a face, not the face, but a face of this league. I got all that. I don't begrudge him making all the money he can make. But don't give me Larry Bird. And frankly, don't tell me he's going to live up to whatever it is, 207 million.
Years, yeah.
Okay, just don't tell me, because this is not a path of dominance where you say, oh, well, this is the guy. Is that the it factor that you want? If I give any player of any experience in this league that kind of a lead over a Clippers team that's teetering, and you can't close that deal, something is missing here.
But here's the thing.
Fourth quarters are missing here.
I call him Baby Bird. Can you tell the people at home at the age of 22 what Larry Bird was doing? He was playing at Indiana State.
Okay.
This kid is 22. He's finished up his 3rd year in the NBA. Now, I want you to tell me this. In Larry Bird's first 3 years, I want you to tell me the player that Luka Doncic is playing with that's as comparable to Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Nate Tiny Archibald, or Dennis Johnson. Name the player that Luka Doncic is playing with that's comparable to any of those guys.
Okay, name the player on the Clippers you would put in that category. Any of those players. Were the Clippers a powerhouse? You had no use for the Clippers. You ripped them all year long.
Hold on, Skip.
They're down 2-0 and 30-11, and you can't close that?
Hold on, but you told me Kawhi was the best player in the NBA.
I didn't say that.
You say is Kawhi literally top 5 player?
Top 10, I'd give you.
Okay, top 10.
Yeah.
What about Paul George?
Top 20? I'll give you top 20.
So Luka, okay, I'm going to say Luka's a top 10 player also. Is there anybody else, did you have anybody else on their roster that's top 30, top 40? So you got 2 top 20 players. He is 1 top 10 player, and he took you 7 games.
He's Larry Bird.
I tell you
Really?
what, Skip,
Do you realize the intangibles of Larry Bird?